Hey folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome to 2025. We've made it through another year. Whether we make it through this one is, well, I guess we'll have to see. We certainly live in interesting times. Anyway, just before the end of last year, Behringer released this. The JT Mini synthesizer. It's apparently based on the Jupiter, which was, I want to say, an 80s synth, maybe late 70s. But either way, it is based on the Jupiter, but doesn't sound like Uranus. Hey, bum jokes. Anyway, yes, it is a 3-oscillator polyphonic synth. 3 notes of polyphony, which makes sense. Or it can be turned into a monophonic synth, where all the oscillators are playing in unison, and then you can detune them and get cool kind of spooky sounds, I guess. It's entirely analog signal path. When I reviewed the JT4000, one of my biggest complaints was that it was all about menu diving and not overly intuitive, but as you can see, no screens, no menus. It's all controlled from the front panel. And my other big complaint about the previous JT was that it lacked a physical MIDI port, where this one has one, and it's a full-size DIN MIDI. And it's actually also, you can select USB MIDI input as well, so you can just hook it up via USB to your computer and have it run from your door. It's brilliant. Anyway, let's take it over to the desk and I'll set the camera up and we'll try and get some noises from it. What do you think? Okay, so here we are with the JT Mini on the desk, and as you can see, it's a lovely little package. We have inputs and outputs for USB, power and MIDI, output for headphones or running into your sound desk, volume, tempo control for the LFO, clock sync in and out, and a nice big MIDI connector. The function key works with the keys down here to change their functions, which is fairly self-explanatory. For example, if I wanted to change the type of LFO wave, I could go from a sine wave that our LFO is currently producing and select it to be actually a square wave, or sine wave, or a saw. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll just leave it on sine wave. And there's controls for the filter, the sequencer, and so on. So now that we've dealt with these bits, we've got 2 knobs here. This one controls the oscillators. So we have our our 3-note polyphony, our unison, which we can add detuning to, and get all kinds of foolishness with. Then we have the arpeggiator. Various settings on that, as you can see. This knob is for octave control. Don't know if you'll be able to hear that, but I suspect your dogs will be shouting at you. And yeah, this knob doesn't function when the unit's connected to a MIDI controller. Now we've got our LFO controls, which are really cool actually. So we've got LFO rate, which doesn't do anything until we combine it with other parts. For example, if we can modulate the pitch of the oscillators with the rate of the LFO. Which is pretty cool. But what if we wanted to ease into that? And that's where this one comes in, delay time. This isn't a delay function in the sense of like a guitar pedal. It just delays how soon the LFO fires up. So if we set it to about here, we can go. Which I think's pretty cool. It sort of gives you a spooky tale. If we increase the decay on that a bit. I don't know, I think it's pretty neat. We move over to the voltage controlled oscillator and we've got our 4 waveforms. We've got sine wave, triangle wave, modulated square wave and regular square wave. Pulse width modulation for the penultimate waveform. Detune, as you see, doesn't work until we move everything into the unison. Pitch modulation is dependent, as we've seen, on the VFO speed. Voltage controlled filter. So we've basically got low to high cutoff and resonance. We can modulate the filter with the LFO as well. So and at this point the cutoff control essentially sets the midpoint for the modulation of the LFO. Envelope modulation is similar in that it modulates the envelope based on the LFO's rate, I think. Yeah. And then we've got our ADSR. Well, there you go. These 3 buttons here are to do with the sequencer, and this belongs to my other half, and I don't know if it's got any sequences in there, so I'm not going to mess with it. But I figure if you know synths, you know how sequencers work. Even I do, and I'm a guitarist. You may have noticed that this is actually a paraphonic synth as opposed to a true polyphonic. The filter and envelope apply to, they open once and then every subsequent note goes through it until it closes again, as opposed to each note having its own individual envelope. But I don't know, I think it's really neat. So yeah, here's weird sci-fi stuff. Okay, so final thoughts time. I like it. I'm sad that this belongs to my other half because I honestly feel that I want one of my own. I mean, I know I can use it anytime I want, but I still kind of want one of my own. It's actually really fun. And even though I've worked on like the Yamaha electric piano and that Gen, and rebuilt them, there's a difference between knowing how a circuit works and understanding how it works from a musical sense. And this little synthesizer is the perfect teaching tool for that. because there's no menu diving, because everything's laid out in a way that is so immediate, you push something and you hear how it works. Learning how an ADSR envelope works is all well and good reading about it, but being able to just mess with the sliders and get that immediate sound without going into menus and being like one level disconnected, I suppose. Brilliant. Understanding how the signal chain works, it certainly to brains that work like mine, it's brilliant. You can just understand it. It's also like less than £100. You know, it's I don't know how expensive it is, but I know it's under £100, or certainly is at the time of making this video. You know, it's really affordable for what you get, and even though it's the size of a toy and the price of a toy, it sounds great. It's really versatile. It's fun to use. I don't know what else to say, really. Thank you to the Bearded Wonder for letting me borrow this. I really appreciate it. And for putting up with what looks to be another year of me making videos, worrying about if anybody watches them, then nobody watches them, then I get disheartened, then somebody does watch them, then I don't get disheartened, and he has to listen to it all on a cycle. But yes. So, happy 2025. Thank you for watching the video. If you want to buy me a coffee, I would really appreciate it, because mostly that's how I'm fueled. If you like what I'm doing, then there's a button for that, and if you want to subscribe, you'll get to hear more random wafflings about bizarre crap, mainly musical crap. I think that's about everything. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time when I do another Weird Gear video. I've actually already got it planned, I just need to record it, and it is kind of bizarre. So yeah, see you soon. Has anyone seen the clangers? I feel I need to bring in the soup dragon.